Well, state leaders are beginning to draft bills, and the Senate is discussing its new budget with hopes of more transparency. Scott Mitchell breaks it down with two new faces to Your Vote Counts.
And welcome to Your Vote Counts. I'm Scott Mitchell, and this is Colby Schwartz. Good to see you,
Good to see you.
Good to see Richard.
It's been a while.
Our original A-team. And for our Tulsa folks, this is the second time you guys have been back in about the past decade, so good to see you both.
Good to see you.
Good to be here.
All right, let's take a shot at some things right now that people are talking about. Number one is it's not yet Christmas, but there are things happening in the legislature, and people forget that there's a whole lot going on. Help us understand what happens right now.
Well, it's bill drafting season, and I get that because you have to get things done ahead of time. And in a House, anyway, you have a certain number of bills you're allowed to file. I think it was 20, I don't know. But anyway, this is the silly season. I'm a big baseball guy, and this is like the first week of preseason spring training, okay? Everybody's getting warmed up and getting their legs stretched out, etc. What folks need to know is whatever you see in December, Colby, you know this in May, it's not going to be anything like it. 1 in 15, 1 in 20 bills ever get signed into law. Okay, I guess it's necessary, but it's really a lot to do about nothing.
All right, so he's channeling what Red Sox fans are thinking right now. They're not real happy with the offseason.
No, we're not happy.
But let's talk about this process. You were there when the Republicans took over. You see how things have changed with Republican leadership. So what actually does happen this time of year?
Well, I mean, you know, it's not just the legislators that are involved. It's also the staff, right? I mean, and Richard knows this. The staff is critical in drafting bills. This week started that process. And to have bills ready to go in February when session starts, you've got to have all these deadlines to the process. So that's what's happening. I think one thing you got to be, careful of is when you see a press release or something and you might at home go, that's a stupid idea, or that's crazy. Well, remember, there's 149 members of the legislature. They're all able to file whatever they want. It could be a constituent request. It could be some crazy thing like Richard used to throw out there all the time.
Crazy thing like the blue alert and the red cedar, and breaking up DHS, which we still need to do, folks.
Okay, well, yeah, in the media, we've talked about how over the year that the media gets exploited by these press release bills.
Yeah.
And that aren't going to happen. Okay. Another thing that's going on, is being talked about right now, is the Senate has decided they want to do a different way of the budget process. You guys for years talked about we're not in the budget process, so let's talk about that. The Senate says we're going to do it different this year. What does that mean?
Well, first of all, I'd like to commend Pro Tem Treat of Oklahoma City and his initiative and the leadership in the Senate to try to say, hey, we want to be more transparent. The process of the budget is always confusing. The rank and file will always say we didn't have input. So what they're doing now is they're going to have, they already started this week, have agency directors come in and have testimony before committees. Now the difference though is this is a Senate plan. I'm not sure how that is going to work with, this isn't the House plan. So two very different chambers. I don't know what it's going to look like come March when they kind of have their own marching orders.
Well, any penny, is the sky falling, or is there going to be transparency?
There's not going to be transparency. You know, Democrats haven't been in charge for, I don't know, what now? Decade, 2 decades, three decades, I don't know. But back in the bad old days, believe it or not, Colby and Scott, there were like 50 members of the Appropriations Committee. What I mean by that is the rank and file had participation into the budget process. But the final analysis is this. Only a few selected people are going to be involved in the process at the end, okay? The Republicans have complete control of both the House, the Senate, and the governorship, and yet they fight like cats and dogs. Nothing is going to change. This is a publicity.
There's more transparency now than there's ever been before, and definitely under Democrat leadership.
Okay, there's a lot of, you can see this on the internet and all of that. I get that. But the rank and file that you just mentioned, they're duly elected members too, and they're cut out of the process, and I predict they're still going to get cut out of the process.
It feels just like the old days. When we come back, did you know sports and politics often go together?
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
When we come back.